It's another edition of the wrap-up show with John and Jim, presented by Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. Are the Padres going to be in the mix for Matt Olson, first baseman for the A's? We'll get to that in a moment. But a reminder, if you're looking for year-round Padres content, you've come to the right place, the wrap-up show. Hit the subscribe button. You'll be notified as well if you hit the notification bell of all of our new videos. But if you're looking for year-round exclusive Padres content, hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you like these videos. Follow us on Twitter as well, at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. Are the Padres going to be in the mix for Matt Olson? First, let's tell you about our title sponsor, Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. This wrap-up show would not be possible without Mark's support, and I recently just switched over my earthquake and homeowners insurance to Mark over at Farmers Insurance. He made it super easy. I think we did it in like 24 or 48 hours. If you're looking to save money in 2022 with your insurance, you got to call Mark. You can save $440. He's a San Diegan and a lifelong Padres fan. Whatever it is, auto, home, renters, or life, please call Mark. He'll talk Padres with you. He'll talk insurance with you. He's got a decade of experience in insurance. He's got great service and communication. So if you have any insurance needs, Jim, please consider calling Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. There's a link down below.
Yeah, reach out to him right now. Do it. Information above my head. Email mnimitz@farmersagent.com. That's mnimitz@farmersagent.com. When you reach out to him, let him know that John and Jim from the wrap-up show sent you.
If you're not subscribing to The Athletic, you should be. You should be subscribing to this channel. But if you're not subscribing to The Athletic, you should be. Dennis Lin with another great mailbag this week, where he writes that the Padres are expected, or he expects the Padres to be in the mix for Matt Olson. Now, obviously, that would be so significant for a zillion reasons, one of which would mean that the Padres wouldn't have Eric Hosmer as their first baseman in 2022. So hopefully, Jim, this lockout will end at some point in the near future. And when it does, it sounds as if the Padres might have an appetite for Matt Olson. The question is, can they get it done realistically, considering the roster constraints?
We know Preller. We know that he always likes to go big fish hunting. This is no different. This is not surprising to me. There's reports that the Padres are essentially done with thinking that Eric Hosmer can contribute to this team in the way that they hoped for. They've tried to move him last year. You know, there was talks about if there was no lockout, they were going to try their hardest to move him in the offseason. Reports of trying to unload Will Myers' contract, because those two guys they're just not getting it done for this team. So am I shocked, or would I be surprised if they got Matt Olson? Yeah, I would be surprised, but at the same time, I wouldn't, because it's AJ Preller, and he's done this stuff before. A trade to this level, though, that you need a lot of things to happen for this trade to go down. You would need to get rid of Hosmer. You would potentially also need to get rid of maybe a top prospect in this case. You would also need to figure out how much money you're eating of Hosmer's contract. And then are you going to be okay with having Matt Olson right now at this point in time for just 2 years? Because that's how many years he has left under team control before he would garner an Eric Hosmer type of contract.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things in there to weigh out and to think about. And I personally would do it like right now, because 2 years of Matt Olson is infinitely better than 2 more years of Eric Hosmer at first base, and also 2 years of whatever top prospect they would trade away. I don't think a top prospect that they would trade away to try to get Matt Olson would have any type of impact or significance for this team in the next 2 years. That's just what I personally think. Maybe down the line, this prospect would in like 4 or 5 years, but the next 2 years, with the way that this farm system has been producing players and the lack of producing players, I just don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I mean, I'd be surprised as well. I think it would take probably a third team to pull off a move like this, because you're not moving Eric Hosmer in the same trade for Matt Olson if it's just A's and Padres straight up. If you're the A's, why would you take on Hosmer if you're trying to shed payroll? They've said that publicly this offseason. They're trying to shed payroll. Even if the Padres took on a lot of Hosmer's money, he's owed a fortune. He's owed $59 million. So if you move Chapman, who's going to get 10 or 12 this year, and then take on Hosmer, you'd have to be paying a portion of that salary if for the A's. So I think it's more realistic in a 3-team deal. And I think the other challenge of making this move is the time constraints. Because if you had all off season to do it, maybe you could get creative. You're not going to have all off season, and you would envision another franchise could have just as good of an offer for Matt Olson as the Padres. So I think it would be a home run, obviously, if you could shed Hosmer and land Olson. I mean, are you kidding me? Shoot, even if you keep Hosmer and land Olson, I just don't know how realistic that is. I mean, even if one of those players is DHing, how realistic is it to take on more salary, keep the $20 million of Hosmer per year, keep the $20 million of Myers per year? I think either Hosmer or Myers is going to move in some form or fashion if you're going to land Matt Olson, right? We'll get back to the video in a moment, but we want to welcome our newest sponsor to the wrap-up show, Aura, a plant-based nutrition company that offers natural supplements as well. And their co-founder, Will, is a San Diegan and a lifelong Padres fan. They've got an amazing offer for our viewers here today. 30% off your first order at the link down below, aura.organic, using promo code WRAPUP. I've been taking a probiotic from Aura for the better part of the last 2 months, and it's really so valuable when it comes to digestion, mental health, heart health. That's why I'm taking this probiotic. And again, it's entirely plant-based. They have so much more, Jim, than just probiotics. You've been taking these plant-based proteins as well.
Yeah, I've been taking this pre-workout raspberry lemonade flavor. I'm actually almost out. I need to re-up my order here. Went to the gym yesterday afternoon, took this, jitter-free, had a great workout, did not have a crash afterwards. It tastes delicious. 30% off your first order using our promo code WRAPUP at www.aura.organic. Again, it's not just pre-workouts. It's not just protein powders. It's not just probiotics. It's everything that you need to live a healthy lifestyle. So go there right now with your first order. Get 30% off using our promo code WRAPUP, www.aura.organic. Trust us. You'll thank us later. Now back to the video. 100%. You're not bringing over Matt Olson in keeping Eric Hosmer and Will Myers on this team. You're just not doing it. Now, like you said, there is a DH factor here that you could potentially put one of them at DH, but do you want Eric Hosmer to be your DH? Because the better defensive player is Matt Olson. No questions asked. So he's playing first base. But then you're going to want to put Eric Hosmer as your DH?
No, but I'd prefer it to not having Olson. As in, I'd have more of an appetite for Hosmer as a DH for 100 games if I had Matt Olson, as opposed to DH Eric Hosmer for 100 games,
Right.
just because in 2022. But no, I don't think it's a plausible scenario. Why would you pay him $20 million to DH 100 times and have a 700 OPS?
And we know that,
you know,
and like, you trade for Matt Olson and you keep Eric Hosmer on this team, you're going to tell me that's not going to cause a little bit of a problem,
right,
with Hosmer? Like, you're going to not play me at first base anymore and you're just going to put me at DH. Like, we saw what happened last year. He just went completely radio silent on everybody. And I'm not saying he caused any problems in the clubhouse, but that was an issue in the clubhouse with the whole potentially trading Eric Hosmer, Jace Tingler's relationship with AJ Preller, Hosmer's playing time. Like, it was talked about, no doubt about it. I don't know how big of a problem it was, but it was talked about for sure. So keeping, like, you got Olson, you're just going to keep Hosmer, like, that would just be, I mean, if it meant getting Matt Olson, I would do it, because I'd rather have Matt Olson on this team than not. And if it means keeping Hosmer, so be it, whatever. But I think it would cause problems.
Yeah, I think it would just be problematic, and it would also be problematic just financially. Like, we don't know where that luxury tax number is going to land over the next week or 2 or 3 or whatever. So maybe there's a scenario that number goes up 15 or 20 million, and you can squeeze Olson in and have all these parts and still be under that number. But remember, they're not done. Just adding Matt Olson doesn't mean you have a left or right fielder, or you have a fifth starter like Nick Martinez, or you have a closer. Maybe that's an in-house candidate. But knowing that they're not done, are they going to go over the luxury number for Olson? I'd go over the number for Olson, but I don't know if I'd go over the number for Olson if I have to keep both Hosmer and Myers. So it's a little bit of a tricky putt. I'm always using that term, but I think the number is going to go up. And I think that Peter Seidler has proven over the last 12 or 18 months that they're willing to get creative and increase payroll. But they were already at the luxury tax number. Are they going to go over it again in 2022 after winning 79 games in 2021. I'd love to think that he would. I just don't know if that's realistic or not.
That's a very hard commitment, I feel like, from the ownership group, Peter Seidler, to say, hey, go spend more money. Oh, we only won 79 games last year, and we haven't had a winning season with you yet in your 10 years GM. Maybe we shouldn't. Like there has to come a point where enough is enough. You can't just keep spending and getting the same results. You just can't do it. You need to finally break through and say, okay, what we're doing is working, because right now what they're doing is not working. And until that happens, where you can go to ownership and Seidler and say, spending money works, doing these trades work, trading away these prospects, they're working. That, to me, it's a hard sell. If I'm AJ Preller to Peter Seidler, with everything that's happened.
I will say this, and you said earlier, I mean, the Bob Melvin equation with Matt Olson makes it something to consider even further. I mean, we know Preller's involved in every conversation he wants to be involved in, whether it's the big money guys like Castellanos or Bryant. We wouldn't be surprised if he was having those conversations. We wouldn't be surprised if they could land a Suzuki. We wouldn't be surprised if he was in on the trade market for a Max Kepler or an Austin Meadows. Why would we be surprised if he was having serious conversation with the A's once this lockout ends about Matt Olson? And again, maybe the cherry on top, maybe something that is able to make it more realistic is Bob Melvin's relationship with Matt Olson. But ultimately, from the A's perspective, they're going to make the move that benefits their franchise. They've been very savvy over the last decade. They really have. They've made moves that have benefited their big league roster, that have allowed them to be competitive. So this isn't going to be a sweetheart deal. It was a sweetheart deal to land Bob Melvin. It's remarkable that the Padres could pull that off without compensation. The fact that they did that is going to have no impact on the possibility of them landing Matt Olson. Now, again, Bob Melvin might have a desire to go to AJ Preller and Peter Seidler and say this is worth it. But from the A's perspective, they'll make the move that's the best for their franchise, right? Obviously.
Well, yeah, they're not going to be like, hey, yeah, we'll take Eric Hosmer and his entire contract.
Because we love Bob.
Yeah, we love Bob. We want to help you guys win. And plus, Eric Hosmer's contract is like worth the entire payroll for the Oakland A's.
Right.
So it's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, what's, as you look at it right now, what's more realistic? Olson via trade, Suzuki via a post, a Bryant or a Castellanos as a free agent, a trade candidate in the outfield, Nelson Cruz. I think it starts with Nelson Cruz. I think that's realistic. I think the others are more, more unrealistic than realistic at this point in time.
You know what I think, John?
What's that?
I think that's a great idea for another video.
Okay. I like that. I like that a lot.
Who are the Padres more likely to sign?
All right. I like that. That'll be the next video. What do you think? Are the Padres likely? Are the Padres likely to land Matt Olson via trade or not? Why or why not? Make sure to comment down below. Also, subscribe to the Wrap-Up Show. We have year-round exclusive Padres content. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. Also, support our sponsors, Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance, and also Aura. We've got that 30% off offer using promo code WRAPUP. There is a link down below. If you're purchasing Padres tickets in 2022, do so through us. We have a StubHub link down below. And oh, by the way, a brand new Wrap-Up Show emailer. Please subscribe for our Padres Wrap-Up Show emailer down below if you're looking for more Wrap-Up Show content. Like these videos, follow us on Twitter at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. Until next time, this has been the Wrap-Up Show presented by Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance.